What's going on, everyone? It's the Fantasy Football Almanac, and today we are talking running backs that are skyrocketing up my rankings over on Underdog Fantasy in Best Ball. But before we get into it, if you guys could, go down, drop a like on this video. I am answering every single comment, so if you guys have any questions, please let me know down below, and subscribe to the channel. It is the #1 way to support me. It's completely free, and you could always change your mind later. With that, though, guys, let's hop right into it with our first player, and that is, drum roll, please, Najee Harris. Najee Harris, a phenomenal player, somebody who has done nothing but produce throughout his first two seasons, and yet right now he is going at around the running back 14, which I would consider virtually around his floor over in Underdog Fantasy. I mean, simply because his first season, he finished as the running back 4 in all of fantasy football, and then in his second season, he finishes as the running back 14 in PPR scoring. We should see that go up with the improvements made over on the Steelers' offensive line. I mean, we do bring in Broderick Jones, we do bring in the left guard over from the Eagles, and Isaac, I always botch his name, Somalawu, something like that. Either way, they do bolster this O-line pretty good. Not only that, you have Kenny Pickett going from year 1 to year 2. This offense should be taking a step up because, quite frankly, it can't really get any worse than what Kenny Pickett offered last season. We should see Najee Harris sustain pretty high volume again, as he has the last 2 seasons. I mean, he had almost 600 carries over the past 2 seasons, and then throw in another 150 targets. You are getting a lot of volume, and well, maybe he doesn't necessarily provide the ceiling to be the running back 1, simply because he is a volume running back rather than an efficiency running back. The floor you're getting with Najee Harris is nearly unmatched, especially at the running back 14, especially at the 3-4 turn. I am eating him up everywhere. Right now, he's going right in between Jahmyr Gibbs and Kenneth Walker. And with Jahmyr Gibbs, I love Jahmyr Gibbs. He is my most drafted player over on Underdog Fantasy right now. But he has shot up substantially from where I was getting him. I was getting him back in the 6th, 7th round. Now he's a late 3rd, early 4th round pick, whereas Najee Harris is as well. We know what Najee Harris is. He's a proven commodity, and every single season he's been great. The primary reason he started off so poorly this past season, not scoring over 12 fantasy points in the first 8 weeks, was because he was dealing with an injury. I mean, he put a metal plate in his shoe to try and protect his foot. During preseason practice, he would walk up a little hill and get carted off there instead of getting carted off right in front of everyone so less people would know about it. I mean, this is somebody who plays through injuries. Then, once he had the bye week, was able to get his footing back, and finished from weeks 10 to 18 as the running back 5 in all of fantasy football, averaging 14.2 fantasy points per game in half PPR scoring with 127 total points, only behind Tony Pollard, Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs, and Christian McCaffrey. Well, I'm not saying he could finish again as the RB1. He does provide you with such a safe floor, and there really is nobody else in this offense to steal serious volume. Yes, you have Jaylen Warren, and Jaylen Warren, a great backup, another guy I'm drafting a lot over on Underdog Fantasy, but Najee Harris will control the reins in this offense. We've seen Mike Tomlin do this every single year with his running backs. What makes this year any different? That's why Najee Harris, my #1 value over on Underdog Fantasy. Either way, let's move on to my #2 running back, and that is Derrick Henry. Now, I know Derrick Henry, he's already going pretty high in fantasy football drafts. How low could he possibly be going that he is a fantasy value? Well, let me tell you, right now over on Underdog, he is going off the board in the early 3rd round as the running back 8, behind Tony Pollard, behind Nick Chubb, behind Saquon Barkley. And while I understand the evaluation to a certain point, at the same time, Derrick Henry has done nothing but be a phenomenal fantasy running back year in and year out. As he finished as the running back 4, the running back 3, the running back 5, 3 of the last 4 years. The only year he didn't was the year he got injured and missed half the season. He only played 8 games. And guess where he finished? The running back 14. I mean, this is a phenomenal running back who has been churning out season after season great fantasy performances, and the only reason people are scared of him is because of age. And yes, I was one of those people who was not drafting him last year because of his age when he was going in the 1st round. But now that Derrick Henry is going in the 3rd round, I'm fine taking a shot on him. Yes, they do bring in Tajay Spears as a potential future replacement, but we should see this Titans offense use Derrick Henry until the wheels fall off. And the wheels necessarily have not fallen off just yet. He averaged 4.41 yards a carry last season, and they do go out and bring in Peter Skoronski, one of the most pro-ready tackles in the NFL draft. I'm excited to see what Derrick Henry can do this next season. Yes, it is a risky bet because of age, but I am willing to take it where he is going over on fantasy. I mean, over in your fantasy drafts, you could start with Justin Jefferson at the 1st pick, then get Devonta Smith as your 2nd pick, and Derrick Henry as your running back 1. I mean, that just seems unfair to me, considering where he's going right now. Not only that, I think he is more valuable in best ball formats, because he is the type of running back that can have 40-point performances on any given week. I mean, we've seen this guy run for a 99-yard touchdown. We've seen multiple 40 fantasy point games from Derrick Henry. And if that happens in your championship week, you're more than happy with that. You're probably winning a good chunk of cash. That's why Derrick Henry is my undervalued running back. That's why I am drafting Derrick Henry in a lot of leagues. Either way, let's move on to my third running back. I am saving the best for last, by the way. But either way, we do have Brian Robinson, and this is somebody who's nearly guaranteed volume in his offense. Despite coming off the board as the running back 34, behind guys like Zach Charbonnet, behind James Cook, and I would rather have Brian Robinson than James Cook and Zach Charbonnet, Brian Robinson comes back from getting shot, and immediately takes the reins of this offense over from Antonio Gibson. I mean, this is somebody who came back from getting shot and is averaging almost 18 carries a game in his rookie season. The coaching staff really likes him. I mean, Ron Rivera absolutely loves this guy, rants and raves about him every chance he could possibly get. And again, he almost averaged 18 carries a game back from getting shot. Well, you don't have the receiving upside of somebody like an Austin Eckler. I think that is fine for somebody who is coming in and getting 20 carries a game, and yet is coming off the board as a running back 34. I'll take the value where I can get it. I'll take the guaranteed production where I can get it. I think this is somebody who's going to be surging up draft boards. He still is very young, and we didn't see them bring in any serious competition in the offseason. I mean, it's still Antonio Gibson, and then the third string is Chris Rodriguez. The fourth string is Jared Patterson. We are not worried about any of these guys stealing volume from Brian Robinson. Well, yes, again, we don't necessarily know if Brian Robinson is going to see an uptick in the receiving game. I'm taking the guy who finished with 850 total yards in 12 games here. I think he's a phenomenal selection where he's going right now. I do understand the knocks on him. He's not really a receiving back. He's not really all that efficient, but this guy is a truck, and they did not bring in anyone else. That's why Brian Robinson, another undervalued running back, a guy skyrocketing on my rankings, who I'm drafting everywhere over on Underdog Fantasy. My fourth guy is Damien Harris, and I think Damien Harris is an absolute steal over on Underdog Fantasy. And yes, I get it. It is a little bit of a disgusting name, but Damien Harris is somebody who has produced in years past, finishing as the running back 8 in standard scoring 2 years ago. Yes, it was on the back of 15 total touchdowns, but still over 200 attempts, and was utilized in the receiving game a little bit with 20 targets, which is fine. Furthermore, James Cook did not have nearly the utilization that I think a lot of people think he did this last season. I mean, he had 11 games, 11 with 5 or less carries. Let me repeat that. 11 games with 5 or less carries. If they trusted him to be the bell cow back, at least at the end of this season, they probably would have given him a little bit more work. And to their credit, they did. They gave him 20 attempts over the last 2 games. That's 10 attempts a game. But the 2 games before that, 5 attempts and 4 attempts. Again, 11 games with less than 5 attempts. Only 4 games with more than 10 attempts and 0 with 15 attempts. He does project to be the pass-catching running back, which is somewhat valuable in a very high-scoring offense, but we've seen Josh Allen consistently not use receiving backs in this offense. I mean, just as an example, how many targets do you think James Cook got last year? How many targets? If you said 32, you'd either be cheating or correct. 32 targets is not a lot at the running back position, and while he should see an uptick in it, I don't think he ever has the ceiling to be a 70-target guy, with the fact that Josh Allen is by design a rushing quarterback. So he's not going to be checking the ball that much. James Cook will not be receiving more than 15 carries a game. We saw that through the Bills' actions last season. And thus, Damien Harris steps in to be the potential immediate RB1 in this offense. Well, I think we probably will see a pretty even split between the two. The ADP tells a very different story. I mean, James Cook right now coming off the board at ADP of 93 as the running back 29, whereas Damien Harris is coming off at 116 with an RB 38 price tag. I think the price tag for Damien Harris is much better, considering I think they will, for the most part, be splitting work. I mean, Damien Harris is not just one of those backs you bring in as a backup, a guy like Michael Carter. He is better than that. The Patriots proved it in years past, although they did elect to move on from him because Ramondre Stevenson is a great running back. I think Damien Harris is a great value right now, somebody who could easily be the running back 1 in this offense, and in a very high-powered offense nonetheless. That's why I'm taking him pretty much everywhere I can. Really like Damien Harris. Let me know what you guys think about that down below. Either way, let's move on to my last running back, and that is Javonte Williams. Now, yes, there are red flags in Javonte Williams' profile. Otherwise, he would not be coming off the board as the running back 28. I know, torn ACLs, historically, you do not have a good success rate of coming back. And I was not drafting J.K. Dobbins in the 6th round because of that last season, although J.K. Dobbins, I love now where he's going. He's going off the board approximately where he was last year. I think that's another steal. Talk about that in another video. Either way, Javonte Williams is not going off the board in the 6th round. His ADP right now is 92. He's the running back 28, going in between David Montgomery and James Cook. Well, Javonte Williams might have a slow start to the season. Heck, he might not even play the first month of the season. This is a guy who has the ceiling to dominate at the NFL level. As we saw his rookie season, when he was splitting targets with Melvin Gordon, he still finished as the running back 19 in all of fantasy football. Now, the only backup in this offense is Samaje Perine, who has never been a full-time back in this offense. I think Javonte Williams is a massive steal, a risky steal, but if he is able to come off this ACL without losing a step, he is one of the best running back values in all of football. And I know, again, this is risky, but at an ADP of 92, I am willing to take the risk here. If he were in the 60s, if he were in the 70s, I probably would not be willing to take the risk. But since he is so low over on Underdog Fantasy, sure. Sign me up for a potential workhorse running back in the 8th round any day of the week. I will gladly take it. Give me Javonte Williams, give me Damien Harris, give me Derrick Henry, give me Najee Harris, and give me Brian Robinson. Either way, that's going to be it from me. Hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, go smash that like button. Leave a comment down below. I am answering every single comment. And subscribe to the channel. Turn the notification bell on. It is the #1 way to support me. It's completely free. You can always change your mind later. It would mean the absolute world to me. With that though, guys, as always, have a good day, a good night, and a good life.